Sit your phone on the table. Way too camera happy today. Relax. Lifestyles of the young and the reckless. Breakfast in Dubai. Receive all of my blessings from inside. Money coming in so fast I could've cried. Relationship torn apart. I could've flipped. Flex. Flex, 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 flex.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Barber Bus Talk. I'm Cal the Barber. We're here in the mobile barber bus. Before we start this thing off, I want you guys to like and subscribe. Hit that notification button too, so you know when I come out with new content. Interesting subject today. So, I'm noticing a lot of women are starting to date men who are incarcerated, soon to be released, and that is not an issue in and of itself. I'm not going to discourage that per se. What I want to do is give you guys, you ladies, and you men, an understanding of the mentality of somebody that's been incarcerated for an extended amount of time, and what their re-entry to society is. And by my own experience and experience of a lot of the guys that I've dealt with and that I've been incarcerated with, the adjustment period and things of that nature. First and foremost, I want you guys to understand something, and I don't want you guys to take this the wrong way, but a lot of you women that are dating guys in prison are just temporary satisfaction for these men. And the reason why I say you're temporary satisfaction, because jail is a very, very lonely place. It's a very lonely place. There's nothing but men in there. It's a bunch of racist guards, a bunch of, Napoleon complex, inferiority complex guards. And you don't, depending on where you're located, you don't get a lot of visits from family. Some people burn bridges with family, depending on how many times they've been incarcerated. So, that lifeline of a female coming to visit, writing letters, showing that love and affection is something that, that the inmate does need. But a lot of the women that are reaching out aren't really typically these guys' cup of tea on the streets. A lot of these guys were, incarcerated for selling drugs. Most of the guys in there are there for drug dealing. So if they were drug dealers, that means they were top earners, even though it was illegitimate. They were top earners in their environment, which meant they had options. What I'm trying to say is there's a difference between being somebody's jail girlfriend and being somebody's girlfriend out here on these streets. That's first. So, but that's not the only type. You got the type that maybe you are his type, maybe he does really like you, but there's a thing when you come home from prison where it's like really, really hard to adjust to a relationship right off the bat. And I'm gonna tell you why. First thing is, you've been away from women for a long time. You've been away from sex for a long time. So a lot of these guys, they come out here and it's like every girl they see, like, and it's just a normal reaction. I was like that when I first came home. I mean, most guys, most heterosexual men are like that when they come home. So, another thing is they're not established. They come home, most of them, to nothing. Some of them are coming home to some money if they were smart. Most of them aren't. So a lot of women will make the mistake of thinking that this man is gonna jump right in and take care of her and be, on board with, helping her with things because she helped him for so long. But that's a lot of pressure for a guy who's been away for a long time. I mean, not to say he can't hit the ground running, because I did, but at the same time, the opportunities that are out here for those who have not been incarcerated are not the same for those who have been. The opportunities are very far and few between. You got to understand that, be patient if you're dealing with a man that's been incarcerated, because obviously you don't want him to go back to jail. So if you don't want him to go back to jail, don't pressure him, because what's going to happen is you're going to pressure him. He's going to feel pressured to make and earn money, and he's going to go out to the same thing he knows how to do. He's going to return to the streets. He's going to return to that lifestyle, because that's all else he knows to do. In order to feel like a man, to feel like a provider. So, if you have a baby father that's incarcerated, and he went in there for selling drugs, don't pressure that man right away for money, for child. Oh, don't do that. That's the worst thing you can do if you care about that man. because he needs to get his feet stable on ground, solid ground out here. He has to readjust to the new technology, which is changing every day. Depending on how long he's been locked up, he has to readjust to the economy. He has to readjust to the way things are going. He has to readjust to the attitudes and the people out here. Everything changes year to year. We don't notice it because we're out here. When I came home after doing 6, it was like the Twilight Zone. It's like I was frozen in time and everybody else moved into a whole nother universe. It's difficult. I'm gonna tell you, I made a mistake when I came home. I made a mistake of jumping right into a relationship, and I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready emotionally, physically. I wasn't ready by any way, even spiritually, any way, shape, or form was I ready. I jumped right into it because I didn't want her to go find somebody else. I liked her. I didn't want to lose her, which was a bad choice. I should have chose me and been patient, and hopefully if she was the right one, she'd have still been there when I was ready. But one thing I know is that when guys come home, not all, but a lot of guys, and most I would say, they want to, kind of play the field a little bit. I think they deserve that chance. If you're riding with a dude, you're sending him money, coming to visit him, of course you think he owes you, but he don't owe you nothing. But he thinks he owes you though. That's the crazy part. I know a guy right now that came home and is with this girl, and I know this man, I've known this guy since he was a kid. I know eventually he gonna shake loose and be sliding out there doing him. So I just advised him. I said, listen, man, why don't you just tell her, hey, I appreciate you riding with me. I'm not leaving you alone completely, but I need to be single for a while. Because she'd rather hear the honest truth about where you're feeling and explain to her the psychology behind it. But don't be with her, have her put her hopes up, and then let her down the line by cheating on her. That's not right or fair either. So I gave him that advice. I don't think he's gonna listen because they never listen, and it just creates a lot of bitterness towards guys coming from prison. They say, "Oh, dudes would be doing jail talk, and they don't really mean it. They just try to play us." That's not true. A lot of these guys, I've been locked up with these guys. They have all the best intention of being with you, all the best intention of being the man that they say they want to be in them letters or emails nowadays, but they just don't know themselves enough to know when especially if it's their first time coming home. They don't know what it's going to be like coming home. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming to these men. So I'm just putting it out there for y'all so I can understand that, trying to lock a guy in prison and then taking him right out of prison to make him your man is, I think, selfish. I think if you were a good woman, you let this man kind of do him a little bit. Just give him some time. 6 months to a year, give him some time. And if you're the right one for him, he'll come back around. If not, then, whatever. Maybe his loss, maybe not. But at the end of the day, holding him hostage like that ain't gonna do nothing but self-destruct right in your hands. It's gonna blow up. I guarantee you. Because these guys don't know. A lot of them don't understand the dynamic of coming home. Plus, you gotta think of it this way too. Depending on how long he's been locked up, whatever age he was when he got locked up, that's what you're dealing with. If he got locked up at 16, he's a 16-year-old boy up here. I don't care how many books he read. I don't care how much weights he lifted, what he looks like, how many classes he took. He is 16 up here. 21, he's 21 up here. Depending on when he got locked up, because you don't get to socialize or have social interactions out in the real world from the moment you get locked up to the moment you get out. So your emotional and mental state is stuck at that time period. It's like you're chronogenically frozen when you go to jail. It does preserve you too. It preserves you. But it also preserves your mind and keeps it from growing. It's kind of a retardation of the brain and its development and maturity. It kind of retards that process. It slows and stops that process. Because all you're interacting with is criminals, manipulators, guards, counselors. You're not interacting with anybody that really cares for real at all. If you're lucky enough to get visits, you get a little interaction, but that's like what, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours tops? Phone calls, 15 minutes. It's not enough interaction. It's not enough interaction with the real people. It's not enough interaction relationship wise. So a lot of you women that get these guys from prison, you're like, oh, why is he out like that? Why is he doing this? We're weirdos. Jail institutionalized you and messes you up. It ruins you for a while until you can catch back up. But you never really completely catch back up. You can't get those years back. So dealing with a guy in prison is a very big thing to think about, and you need to be very patient with him if you decide to do so, and understand that, you know, if this guy is, you know, not somebody that you typically would be able to pull out here, he's probably gonna leave you when you get out there. Just saying. I try to be mean. I'm just keeping it real. So, hey, that's all I got for y'all today. Like and subscribe. Comment below. Love y'all.
So it makes it pop, so it makes it hot. Tryna make it to the top, tryna make it to the top. On the top is where I wish I was living. On the top like I'm back in the kitchen. On the top, biggest soda we mixing. Now we're doing something.